Well, this is quite the choice we've been given in this country. You can either pick a standard issue average Republican or Donald Trump. It's actually rather startling that we find ourselves with these two terrible choices. I'll look at the biggest issues and attempt to break down these candidates and figure out which one sucks less. Unlike Bernie Sanders, who has famously written a comprehensive bill providing Medicare for all.
But you don't know.
Second of all.
You don't know that,
Second
Bernie.
of all.
We'll come to you in a second,
I do know, and I wrote the damn bill.
Which is actually a mildly misleading title. What it would provide is something far rarer than what Medicare is to all Americans.
Medicare for all is comprehensive. It covers all health care needs for senior citizens. It will finally include dental care, hearing aids, and eyeglasses.
Many studies have actually found this program would cost only a little more than our current system, and some studies actually show it would save money. So naturally, Joe Biden rejects this program.
And in fact, in my view, they all acknowledge that support it. It will take somewhere between 4 and 10 years for it to come into being. People can't wait. I believe the plan I proposed, which is building on Obamacare and providing a public option that is available for anyone, significantly reducing the cost of getting to the exchange.
It's not terribly shocking. Bernie's bill would destroy private insurance companies who surely fund Biden's campaign. Instead, Biden supported adding a public option to the Affordable Care Act. This isn't what the country needs, but it is better than what we have now and has the potential to lead to some sort of single-payer option that the U.S. desperately needs right now. But we have another snag. Behind closed doors, apparently Biden isn't even for a public option. He just isn't tearing down the Affordable Care Act anymore, which is borderline meaningless since Trump has been working hard to dismantle the thing piece by piece. The ACA barely exists now. About the only piece of it that still exists is protection from pre-existing conditions. Speaking of Trump, what is his healthcare plan for America? Well, that's a damn good question. He says he has one, but refuses to reveal any aspect of it and just says it's great.
We're signing a healthcare plan within 2 weeks, a full and complete healthcare plan.
So for those of you who are keeping score at home, that 2-week window was up as of yesterday.
Only real healthcare thing Trump has done since he got into office was gut the Affordable Care Act. When he was running, he talked about covering everyone and he even had the government pay for it. But now that he's actually in power, he does nothing but take healthcare away from people. Both these candidates are awful on this front. Essentially, Biden keeps us where we are right now. Trump makes it worse. So judging from a strictly objective standpoint, Biden is better here.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude. And he ran a bunch of bad boys.
This is a tricky subject. It's tricky because, quite frankly, politicians have been lying about the state of the economy for decades now. They brag about the stock market, yet the average person sees very little change in their life. Why? Because the stock market is primarily controlled by the wealthy. They brag about the unemployment rate, but this is a number that has been manipulated to not mean anything anymore. If you're unemployed for too long, they can remove you from the list, so you no longer count. It also ignores the much bigger problem of underemployment. How many people with college degrees are working at McDonald's? More than any politician wants to admit, that's for sure. The policy for the past few decades is to essentially make a bubble of debt, allow it to balloon out, and when it gets close to popping, try to find some other aspect to balloon up. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
If you're a single mother with 2 children, which is the toughest job in America as far as I'm concerned, and you're working hard to put food on your family.
When it doesn't, we get the various recessions we've had over the decades. Trump's biggest accomplishment as president has been his tax plan, which disproportionately benefits the wealthy. The only way giving the wealthy a tax break helps the economy for everyone would be if trickle-down economics worked. It doesn't. It's a myth that even George H.W. Bush called voodoo economics back in the day.
What I'm saying is that this type of what I call a voodoo economic policy, it just isn't going to work.
Biden actually does have economic proposals that would help the average person. He vows not to raise tax on anyone making less than $400,000 a year. You ask me, that number is insanely high and should be closer to $100,000, but sure. Taxes should only be raised on the wealthy. He has said this a lot, so it has a decent chance of happening. Other things he has proposed include a $15 minimum wage.
That millions of our people are working for starvation wages. And one of the fights that I've been waging for a number of years now is to raise that minimum wage to at least $15 an hour. Is that something, Joe, that you are supportive of?
Bernie, I am extremely supportive of that.
A Buy American plan that would require the government to only buy from American sources. Right now it's allowed to buy American and from America's allies. Biden has proposed making it a true Buy American plan. He has also proposed lifting the cap on Social Security tax, which would make the program solvent for the foreseeable future. Right now the cap is at $100,000 a year, meaning a doctor that makes $100,000 a year pays the same in Social Security tax as LeBron James, Jeff Bezos, or The Rock. These last three items are all great, and also items that Biden never chooses to talk about, meaning they almost certainly will never happen in his administration. Biden is the clear winner here, but if he actually plans on keeping all his promises on the economy, he should be talking about it non-stop, and it would make it a lot easier to vote for him. Without those changes, he's still better than Trump, but the difference is pretty minor.
Think about it. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing.
The coronavirus is a worldwide crisis that affects all of us. It has drastically altered the lives of every single person on the planet. It is almost expected for there to be mess-ups on how to handle this. We knew so little about the virus when it started, and information has been coming in far slower than public demand for it. It seems like a situation custom-made to be handled poorly. Yet despite all those caveats, it's tough to imagine anyone messing up this situation worse than Donald Trump has. He dismissed the idea of wearing masks.
Sitting in the Oval Office, behind that beautiful Resolute desk, the great Resolute desk, I think wearing a face mask as I greet presidents, prime ministers, dictators, kings, queens, I don't know, somehow I don't see it for myself.
Downplayed the severity of the virus on numerous occasions.
People die from the flu, and this is very unusual. And it is a little bit different, but in some ways it's easier, and in some ways it's a little bit tougher. But we have it so well under control. I mean, view this the same as the flu.
It's constantly trying to just blame China for the virus.
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus? There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate.
It gets worse after the Woodward tapes revealed that Trump literally knew about the severity of the virus and knew he was lying to the public, yet continued to do so.
It goes through air, Bob. That's always tougher than the touch. You know, the touch, you don't have to touch things, right? But the air, you just breathe the air, and that's how it's passed. And so that's a very tricky one. That's a very delicate one. It's also more deadly than your strenuous flus. This is more deadly. This is 5% versus 1% and less than 1%. So this is deadly stuff. Well, I think, Bob, really, to be honest with you,
sure, I want you to.
I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down.
Yes,
because I don't want to create a panic.
When people were early on putting the death toll on Trump, I thought it was unfair, since how could he know? He is messing up, but give him a chance. Now he's been given a chance, and he's used it to piss and moan about the Democrats. He acts like he's powerless to do anything. He is literally the leader of the country. There isn't a single Democrat with more power than him. What he has done is take credit for a single $1,200 payment, which Congress did, not him. A minimal flight ban from China early on, but after the virus was already in the US, making it pretty meaningless. Some executive orders, most of which are proving to be absolutely worthless. The only good one was the temporary freeze in student loan repayments. We are in a worldwide crisis, and all Trump does is complain about China or the Democrats. We need action, and he just whines. Maybe China could have done more to contain the thing, but that doesn't matter now because the virus is out there and it needs to be dealt with now. And Trump does nothing. He actually does worse than nothing. He lies. He knows how bad this thing is, yet he acts like it's nothing in public. We should be united to fight this thing. Instead, he just sows division, and it's absolutely pathetic. On the other side, what does Joe Biden offer as a solution?
Just like you can't mandate a mask, but you can say, you can go to every governor and get them all in a room, all 50 of them as president, and say, ask people to wear the mask. Everybody knows.
And if they don't, fines.
And they don't, no, not fine. Then I go to every governor, I go to every mayor, I go to every councilman, I go to every local official, say, mandate the mask. Say, this is what you have to do when you're out. Make sure you encourage it being done.
That's it. National mask mandate. Whoop-de shit. Listen, a national mask mandate is a good thing and better than what Trump has done, but is literally the most mild milquetoast solution there is. So in a national crisis, we have one guy who makes it worse and one guy who is essentially applying a band-aid to an amputee. One is definitely better than the other, but both are garbage. Technically, the win has to go to Biden, but the fact that such a slight win over someone like Trump who fucked this thing up about as hard as you can is not something to brag about.
I just have one thing to say. Hang on here.
All right.
I'm hardly a scientist, but it's impossible to ignore this pattern. For decades, the Democrats have tried to be the party of the people, while the Republicans have tried to be the party of business. In theory. I say in theory because the truth is they are both the party of business. It was Bill Clinton that really started moving the Democrats to the right as far as policy. Sure, he talked like he was for the people.
Well, I've been governor of a small state for 12 years. I'll tell you how it's affected me. Every year, Congress and the president sign laws that make us do more things and gives us less money to do it with. I see people in my state, middle-class people, their taxes have gone up in Washington and their services have gone down, while the wealthy have gotten tax cuts. I have seen what's happened in this last 4 years when, in my state, when people lose their jobs, there's a good chance I'll know them by their names. When a factory closes, I know the people who ran it. When the businesses go bankrupt, I know them. And I've been out here for 13 months, meeting in meetings just like this ever since October, with people like you all over America. People that have lost their jobs, lost their livelihood, lost their health insurance. What I want you to understand is the national debt is not the only cause of that. It is because America has not invested in its people. It is because we have not grown. It is because we've had 12 years of trickle-down economics. We've gone from first to 12th in the world in wages. We've had 4 years where we produced no private sector jobs. Most people are working harder for less money than they were making 10 years ago. It is because we are in the grip of a failed economic theory.
But when it came to policy, it was all business all the way. After Clinton, we got George W. Bush, a far-right president that started the idiotic and disastrous Iraq War.
Our enemies are innovative and resourceful, and so are we. They never stop thinking about new ways to harm our country and our people, and neither do we.
Then we got another politician that seemed like he was for the people.
The times we were told that we can't, and the people who pressed on with that American creed, yes, we can. At a time when women's voices were silenced and their hopes dismissed, she lived to see them stand up and speak out and reach for the ballot. Yes, we can. When there was despair in the Dust Bowl and depression across the land, she saw a nation conquer fear itself with a new deal, new jobs, a new sense of common purpose. Yes, we can.
But like Clinton before him, Barack Obama was the president for business again. And to follow him up, we got another far-right president, Donald Trump.
A friend of mine said, you have to be the most perfect person.
The pattern seems clear. Neoliberal president, then far-right president. Neoliberal president, then far-right president. If we elect neoliberal Joe Biden, aren't we guaranteed a far-right president after him? The issue is, as any scientist will tell you, we don't have enough data points to draw any conclusions. It's a disturbing pattern, but nothing we know with any real certainty will repeat itself again. Maybe we have a pattern and a Biden presidency will lead the way for Mike Pence or Ivanka Trump to take over next. Hell, Donald could run again, assuming he survives COVID. Sadly, we have no idea what the long run could mean. Perhaps Biden's neoliberalism will open up that party to a progressive takeover, or maybe 4 more years of Trump will do that. Put simply, we have no idea what the long run holds. This category is a wash.
When they gaze upon Yosemites, towering sequoias.
You might have noticed a theme here. Both these candidates are utter garbage. Neither gives a crap about the issues of the average man, and are simply running for president in an effort to gain power. More importantly, both these guys are tools for the wealthy, and because of that, they essentially represent the same interest. Both represent big business, and neither represents the average worker. This is why I'm running for city council. I am fed up with how the world's being run, and want to make it better for at least the people who live nearest to me. The two-party system is broken. Right now we have a Democratic Party that blames everything on Russia and the Republicans, and a Republican Party that blames everything on China and the Democrats. Neither party cares to do anything for the people. They're just interested in blaming the other party for things that go wrong. Sure, if you look at all the data, the Republican politicians certainly played dirtier than the Democrats. But the Democrats let them. Who's more to blame? The Republicans who rigged the system, or the Democrats who happily let them in favor of their own personal job security? Who am I voting for? I actually can't answer that. I know I'm not voting for Trump. I know they want to make it out like Trump's second term would be a catastrophic failure that would destroy the country, and he is a massive idiot, so it's not impossible, but I think it's more likely just 4 more years of the same idiocy we've been going through. This coronavirus has been a massive issue, and Trump hasn't risen to the occasion. Maybe Biden will if he gains power, but I would be shocked. Then again, I may vote Green. I may write in Bernie, and I may just abstain and vote down ballot. I do not know which way I will vote when the ballot comes in. I do know that voting for Hillary Clinton felt disgusting in 2016. I have no interest in repeating that experience. Joe Biden could easily make voting for him a lot easier by backing more progressive ideas, but his backers won't allow that. So instead, he'll run his shitty campaign and leave the door open for someone as insanely stupid as Trump to win a second term. The Democratic establishment will be quick to blame the voters for not sucking it up and voting for Biden instead of confessing the truth that they failed to earn your vote. I'll be blunt, I am probably but not guaranteed to vote for Biden, but I could easily change my mind about it between now and when I cast my ballot. No matter what, I am not happy with these choices. Fuck this system.
Welcome to the cable access televised debate between a giant douche and a turd sandwich.